Welcome to this episode of Eureka. On February 11, 2016, the world of physics was abuzz with the interesting news. Gravitational waves, predicted 100 years ago by Albert Einstein, was discovered and announced to the world on that particular day.
Dr. Archana Pai is an assistant professor with the School of Physics at IISER Thiruvananthapuram. She is one of the Indian scientists credited with the discovery of gravitational waves. Dr. Pai pursued her PhD in Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. She specializes in gravitational wave physics that was brought into limelight recently with the detection of gravitational waves. Dr. Pai has been honored with various awards. Last year, she was elected as the member of the International Astronomical Union.
The guest today that we have with us, Dr. Archana Pai, is one among the scientists whose name appears in that historic paper. Thank you for coming to this Eureka. We are glad that you have spent some time with us. Thank you. Let me start my question. Where did you grow up? Where are you from? Which part of the world?
I am originally from Mumbai, and right from schooling till masters, I did in Mumbai basically.
Mumbai, basically.
Yeah.
Which school you went? Which colleges?
So I went in what is actually colloquially called King George.
King George. Yeah.
It is in Dadar, and it was a girls' school.
Okay.
And then subsequently I went to Ruparul College, which is one of the very well-known colleges in Bombay. Followed by IIT Mumbai, where I did my masters in physics.
Yeah. Coming to your school days, while your formative years, when perhaps your interest in science got, let's say, sparked, do you remember any incident, any teachers, any anything in your school life which sort of gave you this inspiration?
Right from my school days, I was very much interested in astronomy. Okay, and as a school kid, I was very curious about eclipses, and that was primarily due to my geography teacher.
Okay.
Where she first sort of, I think it was in standard 6th or 7th, I don't remember exactly.
6th standard or 7th standard,
where you sort of learn about, annular eclipse and
yes.
So, and she was, and the way she introduced the topic, and that essentially rose a lot of curiosity about that such a simple phenomena. And since then I used to watch eclipses, be it lunar or solar, quite regularly. Followed by that, I joined Astronomy Club in college.
In college, you were part of the Astronomy Club.
Yes.
Okay. Looking back at what you were saying, for example, eclipses, if you look at the wide world around, particularly in India, the large number of people associate eclipses with negative things. Eclipse is some kind of a Ragu Ketu devouring sun or moon, and then they think that it's a bad omen. There is such kind of myths and superstitions are abound. But you found that your geography teacher was able to show the celestial beauty out of that, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's very interesting. What was happening in your astronomy club?
Yeah, so our astronomy club essentially, there are plenty of astronomy clubs in Bombay. So this one is in Sion. It's called as Khagol Mandal.
Khagol Mandal in Sion.
Yes. And essentially what we used to do is, there were lots of young students like me, in college, also like elderly people who are very curious about astronomy. And one of the main thing which they used to regularly follow is near the new moon day, very close to one of the weekends.
Amavasya, near to Amavasya.
Near the Amavasya. We all used to take a train and go near Karjat The
Karjat is a kind of
Yes.
outskirts of Bombay.
Exactly, it's
About 40
outskirt-
kilometers, is it?
Exactly. So it's roughly 2 hours from the main station from Bombay. You go far away so that you are away from the lights and city pollution. And then we used to spend the whole night there, Saturday night, watching sky essentially. Okay,
Interesting.
with the telescope. So I mean, all of us had a very small telescopes, amateur telescopes, and the mandal, the group,
Association,
yeah, the group had a little bit big telescopes, but not, yeah, but yeah, there was a lot of activity, and this we used to announce in a newspaper, so that lots of normal people with families, they would come there, and this episode repeats because after the discovery, actually, I went to the Astronomy Club and I gave a talk there.
Oh, so which means that after this February 11th, that important paper, you went back to your own club and then gave a talk there. I mean, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I went to Mumbai.
See, you said you were a college girl at the time. You should be very young. And you used to go for this astronomy club outside, stay out all the night. Was there ever a problem in your house?
Okay, so I think the most of the credit for that goes to my mother. So what she essentially, I mean, right from the childhood, she always encouraged me whatever I wanted to do. And when I showed this interest in astronomy, she actually came with me few times to this club, and she actually knew a lot of people and sort of, I mean, she knew people there, which sort of builds trust and
confidence.
Yes. And several of the these occasions, actually she also came and spent the whole night with us. I mean, and followed by that, even my brother got interested. So it it was like a
it's a kind of a family affair.
Yes, exactly.
So meaning that you infected the whole family with your passion.
That's right. It was like, yeah, it was like a small picnic. It's only at night, but that's it. Because people used to carry, and then when you see it once, then you see that there are lots of families are coming, and then you don't, most of the time I think people get worried because I think they don't have enough information, and yeah, so I think it's.
So it's very interesting that your mother stood by you and then put her confidence on you, which has seen you through, all these things, and then kind of, I can even say that internationally famous. We'll continue our discussion. It's very interesting. We'll take a very small break. We'll take a small break. Don't go away. Please come back. Welcome back to this episode of Eureka. We have with us Dr. Archana Pai, who as a small girl was fascinated with sky by looking at telescope at the Saturn, stars, stellar objects, and today she is a world-renowned astrophysicist. Thank you for joining us. We will continue our discussion. You have said that you studied in Bombay and then you finished your graduation in a college in Bombay, and then you did your masters in IIT. Then where did you go for your PhD?
Yeah, so I did my PhD in Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics, which is in Pune. It's a very well-known institute. And I did my PhD with Professor Sanjeev Dhurandhar in Gravitational Waves.
Professor Sanjeev Dhurandhar, who is kind of said as the father of gravitational wave in India.
Yes.
So he was your teacher, your supervisor, research guide at Eureka, Pune. What was the area that you worked actually? I mean, what subject you worked on?
Right. So I worked on the problem of detecting compact binaries, that is binaries with neutron stars and black holes, with multiple interferometers, like the interferometers which detected this discovery, right, the LIGO. So if you have LIGO, let's say some other detector in Virgo, some European detector, and if at that time, of course, the Japanese detector was not really approved, but I mean, we took essentially hypothetical detectors, and I worked on basically devising optimal strategy to detect compact binaries with this network of detectors. And in fact, this was our first.
Maybe I'll explain what this compact binary is. It's a very, very interesting cosmological object. Assume that you can crush our sun to about 1.5 millimeter, the sun will become a black hole. I mean, or if you can crush the mass of sun into a very small object, that's called as compact object. I mean, neutron stars,
3 kilometers,
black kilometers, all this can become compact objects. So, if you have two compact objects rotating about each other, that's called binaries, right? So, compact binaries are when two objects are very compact and they are going about each other.
Exactly, exactly.
So, when they are going about each other, perhaps they can generate gravitational waves. That's what you are looking at.
Exactly.
So, hypothetically, if something is going on, and if a gravitational wave comes, how do I discover?
Exactly.
That's exactly what
the problem, and that too with multiple detectors, because by then Sanjeev Dhurandar's group, I mean, they had already devised this method of how to detect gravitational waves with a single detector, like for example.
Okay, so now you worked on like if there are multiple detectors, how
exactly.
do you detect?
Yeah.
Okay, you went a step further from.
Exactly.
Yeah, science progresses like that. We stand on the shoulders of the giants and then see far away, right?
That's
as Newton
That's
said.
Right.
Yeah. So after your PhD, you went for some postdoc, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did 3 postdocs. The first one was in France. It's called as the observatory was called as Observatoire de Côte d'Azur. Okay, it's basically on this Mediterranean.
So that was your first postdoc.
That was my first postdoc. Then subsequently I went to Rome, the University of Rome. It's called as La Sapienza. It's very old university, and there is a Virgo group, and there is also a group which basically look at the bar detectors. I mean, that time they had this bar detector, resonant bars. Again looking for gravitational waves.
So that's a different kind of a detector.
That's a different kind of detector. It's a metal detector. It's a metal bar, and essentially it's trying to look for gravitational waves which sort of coincides with it's a natural bar frequency. Okay. That time the bar was running very close to Rome, the town called as Frascati, and there was a running bar detector there.
There was a functioning bar detector.
Exactly, and the bars actually that time the cryogenic bars were a few of them were operated when I joined the group, and the last run took by the bar detectors. It was a 2003 run, and I joined that group that time. I mean, it was quite because.
So you joined one group when they were kind of finishing their thing, and then some group when they were just starting. Yeah. Excellent. Your third postdoc was?
The third postdoc was in Albert Einstein Institute, which is this Max Planck Center for Gravitational Physics. It's in Potsdam, a little small town actually, which is in outskirts of Potsdam. It was quite nice.
So after your PhD, you went to 3 postdoc where you got hands-on experience. I mean, you were able to look at the functioning instruments, use the data, work on it, etc. And then you came back to India.
That's right.
So where did you join?
So I came back here.
Into the IISER, Indian Institute of Science Education for Research, Trivandrum.
That's right.
When did you join here?
I joined in 2009 August.
That's I think around the time when the institute was also coming up.
That's right, yeah. So institute, a year.
Yeah, just basically.
Yeah, basically in 2008, that was our first batch.
That you have been taking here. Good. So now you have been a teacher in IISER Thiruvananthapuram for last many years after finishing your work. We'll come back to that part a bit later. We'll take a small break and then continue our discussion. Welcome back to Eureka. We are having a very interesting conversation with Dr. Archana Pai, a faculty at IISER Thiruvananthapuram, who is working on gravitational wave and whose name appears in this historical paper with about 1,000 others, the discovery that was announced to the world on 11th February 2016. I want to ask you a kind of a personal question. Your name is there in this paper. This paper is going to be a historical one. I am sure for next 100 years, people are going to refer to this paper. How does it feel to see your name there?
It feels very nice, of course. So if you ask, ask me, I mean, we didn't sort of, I mean, we were waiting for it for a long time, quite long. But I mean, what I'm more excited is to see this kind of a system which we never expected. I mean, right? So always when we used to develop algorithms, simulate the data. I mean, most of the time we always used to think about the signals, not such a strong one. I mean, it was
Oh, so meaning that you never expected such a strong signal and you really got a very strong signal.
Yes, I mean, yeah. So that's something which I think is sort of pleasant surprise for all of us. Okay. The second one was whenever we used to simulate a black hole binary system, we always used to take the masses as 10 solar mass. Okay, I mean, we
like
never
10
thought
the size of the sun.
Yeah, 10
suns
times.
and 10 suns.
Yeah, exactly. 10 times the size of the sun as the black hole, and the 10 times the sun. Yeah, that's a typical binary system which we always used to sort of simulate. So finding a binary system with 36 times the solar mass of the sun and 29 times the mass of the sun was another pleasant surprise. Okay. So, and I think if you ask me, I think I've still not come out of that the nature
the joy of discovering that.
Yes, I mean it's just
that was your moment of Eureka.
Yes, I mean I mean this one is just it's a great surprise. It's amazing. I mean it's yeah, and that too such a strong signal, of course. I mean it's
see this kind of work, like for example building an interferometer and then detecting a gravitational wave. People with different backgrounds come into play. People who can work on optics, people who work on lasers, people who work on simulation, people who work on, what was your role?
Yeah, so I essentially do my research sort of speciality is essentially signal processing, okay, which is like devising algorithms to detect a particular signal model which is being basically simulated by some astrophysicists, for example.
Okay. So, for my viewers maybe I will explain this part well, but then so basically assume that there are two black holes of let us say about 10 solar mass.
Yes.
When they go around each other and then produce gravitational wave, what kind of signal it should be? That is what you sort of work out.
No. So, I work on the following. So, imagine so if you have a binary system, it produces a given signal,
okay,
which is hidden in the data. Okay. Now, given the signal model, okay, and given the data, this thing, and assuming that you are planning to do the look for the signal from multiple instruments, okay, what kind of optimal strategy you should sort of develop in order to get best information from the data. Okay. So, that's one aspect which I work on. The second aspect which, and that is what we sort of contributed, our little contribution amongst is essentially we were working in the testing GR group in the scientific collaboration. So, once the event, I mean when we had this data, we were I mean many of us, we were actually looking at how to test the general theory of relativity using this waveform.
This waveform.
Yes, yes.
See, if you look at your own career path, you did your college year, master's year and then your PhD year. In all through this time, you never had an opportunity to see a actual, almost in the sense that actual gravitational wave detector. But then when you went for your postdoc, you were able to do that. But now, there is a proposal to have a Indian LIGO, that is build a detector in India.
That's right.
How excited are you about it?
Oh, that's a great news. I mean I mean it's very nice. I mean something which is going to be in India, and of course the science benefit is huge. I mean it's because we expect that we can do I mean, because I always look at what you can probe from the waveform, right? For a person who works on this multi-detector sort of strategy, I think having detector in India is fantastic, because the delay. So if you take the LIGO, which is US, right, and it's almost, India is almost like
on the other side
12
of the globe.
hours. Yeah, exactly. So it's a maximum delay which you can have, and if you have more delay, then you can sort of pinpoint the source much better.
Much better.
Yes.
So it's like, for example, when a gravitational wave is coming like this, and suppose if it hits first US,
yes,
there will be some time before it hits India.
Exactly.
So this delay itself will tell you where from which direction, etc. So much more precise.
Exactly, and with that we can locate. So this is, I mean, this is the science which will come out of this, I think is immense, because currently I mean, the localization is very crucial, because then you know where the source is, and then you can, you know, subsequently that has a effect on lots of other parameters. So with this, we actually expect that the source can be really very well localized.
So along with you, I suppose quite a lot of young students are also looking forward to the time when the India would actually have such international facilities, so that we can do world class science.
Exactly, yeah, because I mean, the spin-offs of this for India per se, they are huge, because
educational system is,
yes, the technology which it will bring in, I think there is no comparison.
How did you feel? I mean, what kind of issues I think women face in India today to choose their career in sciences?
Yeah, that's right. So I think one of the main issue I think we have as in India, for example, is when you are trying to choose career in science. That means you want to do after your post graduation, you want to do PhD, for example, the age becomes a little sort of tricky, because the society or people, I mean, they expect that you would sort of settle, have family and things like that. And that's where I think many times I see lots of Indian girls, they are going through this dilemma, yeah, and one has to be really strong if or if you have very strong support. In my case, I was very lucky, I should say. Then then they sort of continue. So that's one problem which I see around. The other problem is many times I see that women, I mean, they do PhD, they have I mean, they marry, I mean, they have their family, and then if they want to come back, okay, because many times they take a break of maybe a couple of years
till the baby grows and things like that.
Yes, I mean, that's very natural, and when they want to come back, that time I mean then it gets a little difficult. Okay, so we have schemes where you can, especially for women to come back, you know, for research, but many times these schemes they are short term. So it's like a project, you know, you get a project for 3 years or maybe 5 years, and then you have to keep applying for
renewing it and things.
Exactly. So I think that's one sort of an issue. So that, and the second one is I mean, subsequent issues. So let's say even if you are able to do that and you come back and you get settled, but many times you lose those 2 years, right, in your career. And if you want to go ahead and let's say you want to apply for recognitions, there again you get hindered because of the loss of 2 years, because there is no, many of these you know, recognitions where you want to apply, there is no
they don't actually
compensation,
compensation for this particular factual problem that
exactly it's not taken care of. Where I think in many of the Western countries they do address these problems.
So we need to have a kind of a rethink about how women scientists would be treated in India.
Yes, because
we need to have a rethink. That's I think
right,
very clear.
Because I mean, building a family is you're doing a part of the society. I mean, it's a social thing. I mean, it's for society. I mean, it's not.
You have been a teacher for many years.
Yes.
What will be your message to the young people?
Yes. So I think I would like to quote Albert Einstein.
Sure.
Yes. I think there is a quote, famous quote. So where he says that I'm not a smart person, but I stare at the problem a little too longer. Okay, and I think that's incredible. I mean, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so don't give up.
Don't give up. I mean, don't give up. Yes.
The smartness is not there. It's not just by not giving up, the smartness comes. Yeah,
yes,
sure.
Exactly. Yes.
Good. It's a very interesting and important point. I think most young audience today are very impatient. They kind of lose interest or think that they can't do. I mean, but if you persist, there is certainly a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sure. With this very interesting message, we should end this Eureka. Thank you for joining us. It was a very wonderful conversation with you. Thank you.